Well, hello and welcome to Yellow Flag FPL, the podcast where all of our opinions should be yellow flagged. My name is Harry.
And I'm Stephen Berry.
And we're recording this in the middle of the Chelsea-Fulham game, the last game of game week 1. Palmer has just scored. We're all regretting our life choices. And João Pedro looks to be hauling yet again. But before we go into kind of our analysis for the last game week, Stephen, how is your fantasy week going?
Really good. So I'm currently on 61. I was meant to have Palestra to play, but he's been injured. The fact that he's not even in the squad, something must have really happened to him. I think they're playing the French guy Gusto on the right hand side, so he probably would have started. I guess Chelsea's not keeping a clean sheet means it's not too bad. Rogers first on my bench, 7 points for now. That is painful, but my last minute switch to Coyote with 13 points is lovely. Calafiori I captained. That came off. Went rogue early on and it came off. Had Odegaard. And then a lot of disappointment actually, but Calafiori and my big hitters did well for me. 61 points or /62 once my bench comes in. Doesn't sound great, but average is 36. Now, João Pedro is going to drag that up. Let's say he drags it up to 42. A lot of people have bench boost and triple captain though. So I would say my 62 in the context of this is actually very, very strong. It would need, unless João Pedro gets a triple hat trick now or something, then I'm completely fucked. But I would say 62, given that the average is going to be max 40, and a lot of people have played chips. I'm very, very happy with that start. I'm currently 685,000th of the world, I think. I'm very, very happy with that.
Yeah, very, very good start for you, Stephen. I saw you were top of the leaderboard at the end of Friday night. Captain Calafiori, I thought you were mad, but it's turned out to be an excellent choice, seeing as I captained Haaland, much like the rest of FPL. I'm in the disappointment camp. It feels like a real turgid week. Currently sitting on 46 points. Obviously, João Pedro's got a couple of bonus to come in as well, no doubt. And we'll see how that pushes it up, but that's just going to push everyone else's average up. So, yeah, you are currently in the 600,000. I'm currently in the 5 million last time I checked. So, wow. You're doing a whole lot better than I am. Xhaka on the bench and Rondon on the bench, leaving 15 points there is upsetting. And lots of flops in and around it. But, I was happy that Szoboszlai took the penalty. But, I think I'm going to play my bench boost next week. Oh, my God, and there's been another goal, and it's Fulham. This is the joy of recording whilst the game going on. And it is Gonzalo Garcia, the new signing of Fulham. He's in my draft. Take that, Tommy C and Jake. Yeah. Come on, and my draft is doing better than my fantasy, which is crazy.
As is mine, anyway, but I also have 5 Arsenal players, which you can't do, so that's my excuse for my draft team versus my normal team.
Yeah, draft can be pretty brutal, but so far, so fucking good. I'm quite happy with that. Yeah, 52 points, love it. Anyway, cool. So this iteration of the pod, I think we're going to change it up a little bit. Instead of going through the teams, we're going to go through what we have lovingly referred to as what are we yellow flagging this week, and then we're going to go through some elements in the games that we kind of think are worth looking at. Hopefully some tips and tricks in there, as well as our general nonsense. So, Stephen, why don't you kick us off? The yellow flag warning. What have you picked up this week that's concerning you?
Yeah, so the yellow flag warning is basically everyone owns X, but I really don't like player X. And I don't think it'll take a genius to work out who that is. It is the 12 million, 50% owned Bruno Fernandes, who just got, Barry, should we do it together? Mauled by the Tigers at the weekend.
Oh, Christ, yeah.
That is hilarious. I'm assuming it's meant to be a little bit shit when they do it. If they're doing it seriously, then that's a bit wrong, but the shitness of it, I think, really, really, really makes it. Barry, do you know that some people don't have Haaland in their team? And I don't actually mind that. If you don't have Haaland and Fernandes, you could have a ridiculous team everywhere else. I have a lot of time with that.
Yeah.
To build your team around a Michael Carrick, Man U, Bruno Fernandes, you, sir, and you know who you are an idiot. Idiots. Absolute madness. We called it. I mean, again, I'm just in hindsight. If anything, we actually thought Man U would get a draw. Yeah. It was so...
We thought 1-1, didn't we? We said 1-1. It, didn't we? We said 1-1. Yeah.
And honestly, I think it's just the fact that there are just so many Man U fans. People thought like, oh, maybe no. Sorry. Now, look, again, to be maybe a little bit fair to Man U, this might be the start of them coming back. I think Baleba, even though I think if you are a good player at Brighton, Chelsea would have signed you by now. If you want to take the positive case, this is like Odegaard when Arsenal signed him when we were absolutely terrible and we made like one really good signing. I can see what they're trying to do with a signing like that, and what's his Tillemans is sort of their Willian. That's a bit harsh on Tillemans, but you get the right. I'm sort of saying I've seen a few years ago Arsenal were completely toilet, and we had to really, really. So maybe Man U will be back in a few years' time. It is not today. It just isn't. It never was. They were dreadful. And again, Barry, the thing I will say against Man U though, longer term is, and I've really thought about this. The Glazers don't give a shit, and I think we really, really underestimate at times how much having somebody at the top of the club influences down. Basically, Bruno Fernandes isn't a bad player; he's a terrible person, but he's a very good football player. I just think that really, really does bleed down. Basically, until the Man U, I know many fans will agree with me here. Until they get rid of the Glazers, they're probably in for still a lot more pain. Even though they did think they were back at the weekend. Look. I'm still having Mbembo. He's probably going to be my captain. He got into the box a few times at a few air shots.
Yeah, he was unlucky. I think, I was thinking about this when he was in on goal and I was going to score, and then the massive hands of the Greek number one managed to pour it from behind him with a great save on the 68th minute. But I tried to get into Mbeumo by selling Gabriel to get Calafiori, and then I got Calafiori instead. Now, if I hadn't done that, I probably would have settled with a lesser midfielder and then stumbled with Gabriel. We got 5 points. So swings and roundabouts, really. But yeah, I thought Mbeumo is probably... He was unlucky not to get on the score sheet. I think Bruno is a concern now.
Yes.
He's
too much money.
I can see the switch to Palmer quite easily, in the game week 4 when they play Hull at home.
Yeah, Cole Palmer, he's cheaper. He's playing under a better manager, to be very blunt, and he's 3.5 million cheaper. 3.5 million cheaper for now. That could be 500,000 by the time this podcast goes out. No, I'm sorry. Look, he's probably going to get something pretty big against. If Ipswich have got at home, he probably will get 2 goals. Fine, have him for that game, whatever. But long term, no. Until they sack Carrick and get another interim manager in, then I'll run around again. They called Rafa Benitez the interim one. Bruno Fernandes is the interim one, actually. If there's an interim manager, he'll actually try something. Until then, no.
And there's no signings that would give you more confidence. Let's say they signed a sort of more out-and-out striker that they trust, because obviously clearly not signing Sesko all the time. Or if they were to sign an extra hand in midfield. I know they got Balbuena, but obviously he's injured at the moment. So, I mean, is there nothing that they could do in the transfer window between now, we date this on the 24th of August, between now and the end of the month, that could give you more confidence?
No. I mean, let's be frank. If they were to sign a striker, it would be Igor Thiago. They'd put £100 million.
Yeah, well, exactly right. Yeah,
that's basically all they'd get, right? And we saw what he did at the weekend when he was playing against the leakiest team in the world. And he couldn't do anything. So anyway, no, absolutely not. With Bruno Fernandes. Have him for one more game, but just you get the money into Palmer and forget about him until they sack Carrick and get an interim manager. Then he becomes interesting again. But yeah, no, absolutely not. No. Again, this isn't hindsight. It was pretty. You didn't have him either, did you, Barry? Or do you have him?
Bruno. I've got Bruno, yeah.
Okay, so there you go. You're an idiot too.
Yeah, I've got Bruno and I've got Bruno and Mbeumo. To be honest, with the thought process that Mbeumo would be the switch away to Morgan Rogers. But I think he's also lends quite well to switching to Cole Palmer. But I don't think I'm going to be doing anything immediately. They've got Ipswich at home.
Yeah.
Ipswich is still an only promoted team. You're probably not moving anything on until at least game week 4. I probably will bank up my transfers up until that point. But I'm going to be bench boosting this week. So that's the big plan this week. But yeah, I know obviously this is your side of the yellow flagging. But my kind of thing to watch for, I suppose, was the fact that O'Reilly was hooked quite early in that game. And I think there's been a big debate about between him and Guardiola, which defender do you get in and all the rest of it. But I just think that was concerning, that Guardiola played the whole game and O'Reilly didn't. If I was an O'Reilly owner, I'd be really putting that in a concerning box.
Yeah. So I actually missed the game, but did O'Reilly play higher up? Where did he play? Or did he play at fullback as normal?
So SofaScore thought he was playing as a 10, which he kind of wasn't and was at the same time. Like Rico Lewis was dropping into the midfield as well as into the defence as well as a winger. They were kind of sort of playing really floating. I think any of them could be playing in any position, but O'Reilly could have got at least 2 or 3 assists if Haaland had his shooting boots on that game. There was one chance he missed absolute sitter. It literally hit him in the chest, and he was less than 3 yards out, and O'Reilly had done an amazing run down the wing. So I wouldn't be perturbed by owning O'Reilly, but I think just note he got subbed. He is the one that's going to get subbed, and Guardiola is going to be the 90-minute man.
He also got subbed for Cherki. He got the 2 assists, and as far as I understand, was quite instrumental in changing that game. Okay, interesting. But surely O'Reilly's going to play more, and maybe is Maresca? Do you think he's still looking? Do you think Maresca's still looking for his starting 11? Did this as a punt? Like, what do you think?
I don't know is the short answer. I think that the fact he started with much more defensive players and then brought Cherki on, and Grealish, should mention that Grealish came onto the pitch as well, so he is still working out what his attack looks like, I think. But Guardiola is the Mins man, I think, or Ruben Diaz if you really want to go down that route. So I think for 6.5 million defender, it's quite a lot. But having said that, if we're all going to be shifting Bruno Fernandes to Palmer, we might have a bit of cash to throw around, so it might not matter. But anyway. Let's move on to the next section that we were yellow flagging, and that's the tactical side of the game. Yes, dear listeners and viewers, we can actually notice some tactics, and it has been highly talked about. And we talked about the Man City game. It's a pretty good segue into it. Gahey playing as his number on the back of his shirt suggested as a number 6, which was very bizarre.
And scored.
And I was watching. And scored, yeah. And I was watching this in a friend's house. The sound was off because we were just chatting away. And I was like, he's playing as a 10. He's playing as an 8. He's playing as a 6. But it also meant that they were really leaky at the back because I don't think they knew what they were doing when the break was on. Like, he was at some points further forward than Anderson. And it just seemed a bit like, I'm not sure if this is something that's going to be a permanent switch or is this something he's just filling in for or he's just trying something out. But it seemed odd. So I think that my kind of advice for this is, could they convert him into a holding mid? Does he become more of an asset because then he's getting further forward? He should have scored 2, by the way. And he could have got an assist as well. Like, he was very in attacking positions. Does he make him more attacking asset because he's in those attacking positions, or less because he's a £6 million defender in a team that currently doesn't know how to defend the system that he's getting those attacking returns in?
Yeah, I think it's a great question. I think defenders who get forward, especially if he's playing alongside Elliot Anderson. Elliot Anderson does not go past the halfway line. He is an out-and-out midfield destroyer. So it means that any time the second 6 goes forward, it will be Gahey. And when they score, they obviously famously get more points than midfielders and forwards. And so that's on the attacking side. I think that's very, very attractive. And then on the defensive side, you're right. But who are going to be the clean sheet monsters? Arsenal? Chelsea have conceded 2 to Fulham. Like, who else are you going to... I mean, I think clean sheets are... They're going to happen when you... Okay, obviously, like, Leeds got one of the weekends. But they were playing Nottingham Forest, Brighton, but Villa were just, that was one of the worst. I mean, was it Ross Barkley as the 10 and then Buendia as the false 9? I would win that game 4-0. So I think with defenders now, you are looking at attacking, and then also defcons is the other thing, quite frankly, because now you can just get 4 points now for defcon monsters, which we'll probably get to later. So I think if you're saying you've got a defender who will get the Man City will obviously keep clean sheets at some point, but gets forwards. He is 6 million, which is annoying. But I mean, look, there's a very hard and fast rule in FPL. If there's a defender playing in midfield, a midfield playing as a forward, just get him. Just get him. Like, it's just you're just much more likely to get results over the season, basically.
Yeah, I mean, he got 10 points in this game. He's 17% owned. He had next year nearly 1. He's missed a sitter and a decent XA as well. But obviously, he got no defcons because he was so far forward. I am kind of agreeing with you that he is a defender going forward. That's really good, and we can see him in attacking positions. I guess my concern would be that they looked so open going back, like so open. Like, it was at one point he was chasing Tavernier, and then as a result, you had Ruben and Guardiola, I keep forgetting his name, got drawn in, and then Evan Nilsson was out there. And we should mention, apologies to Evan Nilsson. He produced probably one of the best assists I've seen in a long, long time. Absolute perler of a ball down to Tavernier. And that created the space for that goal. So I get what you're saying, that, where are the clean sheets coming from? But I think for £6 million, and you're not guaranteed clean sheets, and they might also switch back. He might also go back to being a centre back. We don't know. But it's just a tactical yellow flagging that we all need to be paying attention to, Stephen. I think
I agree, and that I'll go into my, because actually you and I have very similar tactical observations, and that is defenders who are going to be doing a lot of work this season. And we go over to Tottenham Hotspur. Oi, 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 oi! 26 shots from when you had 61% possession. Christ, 8 on target. Now, on the more tactical side, Senasai got 16 DEFCONs in the game with it. I don't know what he does, because every time I watch him, he just looks very mediocre. But either he's doing the counting for DEFCONs at FPL, but anyway, he's doing something. So, but again, 6 million for a pure DEFCON magnet, I don't know. The question I want to ask is, I have Kinski. I didn't actually start him. I started for Bruggen, thankfully. Well, I don't know how to weigh up the fact that he is going to have to make a lot of saves, basically, which in theory gets you a lot of points. He's going to get 15 points in the game at some point, but how long am I going to have to endure 1, 0, 2, 1 for that? I mean, or am I just going to have to basically hope I call them, essentially, Barry? What do I do with Kinski?
Well, I would say, he made 5 saves in this game. So I think, on another day, if his defenders actually did their job, 5 saves, he's walking around with a 9-point haul, right?
Wasn't he at fault for one of the goals, though? One of his saves, he parried it in front for it, if I remember correctly.
He parried it, but the guy shouldn't be making a shot in the first place, right? And also, more importantly, the defender's right there and he doesn't move quick enough. Like, there's only so much that he can really take in that situation. And as you said, 26 shots is an incredible amount of shots to face. So I think that Spurs is a wait and see. And that's one of the points I was going to make earlier as well. Is that it is a bit of a wait and see. We don't know whether, these new signings that we're going to bring in, Savinho and Marmoush, hopefully, at time of recording, Lord knows where they are. And Gakpo scored against for Liverpool, so I doubt they'll let him go anytime soon as well. And it's all dependent on whether they get Barcola and all the rest of it. But anyway, by the by, I think it's a wait and see for Tottenham. I think if you were looking for an early wild card, maybe I'd be tempted to get rid of him. But frankly, with a lot of these teams, especially in this time period, there's going to be a lot of improvement. We said about Man United, there's going to be a lot of improvement. A lot of people they're going to sign in the next couple of days. So wait and see is what I'd say to Kingsley. But I wouldn't be adverse to starting him at home to Newcastle this Saturday when Verbruggen's got Chelsea away.
I've started Kinski in that game, for example, but I'm not happy about it.
Yeah, no. And look, Newcastle were good against Liverpool, but I think Liverpool weren't that great either. So I think Spurs will be better next week. So I would be a bit more positive about it. It was obviously a horrible result, a nightmare result. It was just like, fucking hell, this is so Spursy. But I do think there's an elements in there that maybe we need to be a bit more, kind of this first day back at school kind of vibes, I suppose.
Fair enough.
But who kind of cast the eye test for you then in that game? Is it just the fact that Kinski was we were all over the shop, or is it Kinski himself? Like what was kind of catching your eye there?
Well, he was a player I was going to mention later on, and that's Sangare, who was unbelievable. Fair play to the FPL experts. They all had him. They all said this guy's amazing, and like every single one had him, and they were richly returned with 14 points. So absolutely fair play to them. I obviously looked into it and didn't see the need for it. I mean, I had a very attacking midfield, but he's done incredibly well there. I don't think he passed the eye test. He passed every test really. Brentford just do have this unbelievable scouting network. Sangare will not be at Brentford next season. That's how good he was, and they'll get 100 million for him. Thiago did not pass the eye test in that game.
Wasn't a good pen.
Spurs though, I don't think anyone really passed the eye test either for them. Like Tonali was really bad in particular. He was actually very surprisingly bad. I thought he'd come into my team at some point, but he did not do much. I mean, did you think anyone from Spurs looked good?
No, I mean, Mikey Moore had 3 chances where he should have scored. And Mikey Moore, let's be real, is 20 years old and was on loan at Rangers last season and looks like he's going to go out to Cologne in Germany as well. We really need someone on that right wing. We're woefully inadequate in that attacking final third. So, yeah, I would be concerned if we didn't sign someone on that wing. Tell's not going to do what you need him to do. Solanke and Richarlison are they're kind of a bit mediocre. So, I would be concerned if we don't sign anyone attacking in the window, but I'm pretty sure we will do. So therefore, I'm not concerned overall. Does that make sense? Robertson looked good. He came on with some impetus. We know he's got it in him, but he can't play every game. I think it's likely that Porro will come in at least on the bench next game. So then we put pressure on his position, or maybe a doggies as well. So we'll see. But
but Robinson, I trusted you with him. He didn't, he wouldn't start. I started a doggy, so I've already made my first transfer. I've panicked bought to Cooper from Brighton again. Mainly, I've done it now because he's going to go up in price very soon. And
he is. Yeah.
I'm not expecting him to get 17 points again anytime this season, but he's a defender who plays on the wing. I just keep it simple, and I'm doing that
back
before.
in good team. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. He was in my team, a lot of my drafts, but drafts mean fuck all. So
yeah. On Man City though, I think just go back to them quickly. I think they're my team to wait for another week because obviously they looked a little bit lethargic, and now they're going to Selhurst Park, who missed open goal after open goal against Everton. That is actually quite interesting to see how both of them do, because I think Mateta probably would have lost his place already because of that. Nketiah played as a 10, which, I do like Nketiah, and I do actually probably think he is better as a 10, actually. He's more of a work. At Arsenal, he was very much a fox in the box, but he wasn't really. We really engineered that. I think he's much more of a work, more of a, I guess, a bit of a Colin Gallagher type. He's going to work hard, do a decent ball every once in a while. So he's just sort of interesting to look at, I guess. But yeah, that game for me, I think is actually quite pivotal because, one, I want to, if Crystal Palace put another performance against Everton but eventually score, Strand Larson, these guys can really come back into the equation. And if Man City stutter again, that 15.5 million price tag starts to look very... Because let's be frank, 15.5 million, you want him scoring you want him at least once to get... You basically want at minimum an assist a game. Yeah. But if not that, at least a goal every 2, but probably a bit more, right? So if he blanks again, it's interesting.
There's going to be a lot of noise about that for sure, but I think it's one of those, we know what he's like. He had quite a few good chances in this game. He could have scored 2 goals, probably an assist as well. So on another day, he gets sort of 15 to 20 points, and we're all going, oh, Haaland does Haaland things. We're laughing at Fernando and James Henshaw for not bringing them in, and everyone's happy. So yeah, but I think it's a wait and see for him. Sangara is interesting because he was in my, get him in early sort of yellow flag in here. I just thought, get on it. We all have a 5.5 slot in our teams. He's going to go up in price. I didn't bring him in, not because and everyone gave him hype. They said he's going to be in everyone's team by the midway through the season. He's a generational talent, all the rest of it, right? But I listened to a Brentford FPL fan that I'd followed, and he'd said, look, he might not start game week 1. They might phase him in. As soon as I saw him on the starting team sheet, I was like, okay, cool, interesting. Then he gets 2 assists, then he gets Defcons, then he gets 3 bonus, and I'm like, fuck. I'm sitting on Xhaka at the moment. I didn't start Xhaka, so I'd missed out on his points anyway. But I think if you have that 5.5 starting slot available, just get him in, get it done. They've got decent fixtures. Even in the bad ones, he's going to get Defcons. He looked like a bundle of energy. He's made himself undroppable next to the midfielders that they have in the team. So, just get it done. It's easy, right? Surely. Yeah. He's going to be 5.6, 5.7 by game week 2, no?
I don't know, actually. I think a lot of people are writing off Spurs, basically. And also, to be frank, a lot of people just don't know who he is. Yeah, I mean, he's only really in the professionals teams. A lot of people just don't know who he is, quite frankly. And I think...
He's 4.5% owned, isn't he?
Yeah, 5, around that, yeah. But
5, okay, he's gone up since this point.
Yeah, so he's thinking the early transfers are going to be your Palmers, your Rodgers, yeah, even your Odegaards and
The
people
headline
like
players. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So Sangare, but I would say over the next few weeks will get into 10%. But I think if you really really need money, he's not the one to go for yet. To Cooper, I mean, there's actually literally FPL price changes. If you're really interested, they track all this for you and do a really good job. But yeah, I think to Cooper, he's the highest points person. Therefore, he will be the most likely to go up in price, as will be all the big hitters essentially. So I think you can probably wait a little bit if you don't need Sangare, but don't quote me on that. But either way, that would be my advice. But I don't know, Barry. I've already got Coyote, who got me a lovely 14-pointer. Yeah. Do I want 2 Brentford players? I guess they're a team I think are going to finish 5th. A 10th of my budget on that is pretty good.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Well, let's move on because we talked about Sangare and the fact I'm saying just get on. Who shouldn't we be falling for, or what lesson should we not be falling for that is currently permeating between the FPL wisdom amongst players?
I don't know if it's quite permutating yet, but I can see this narrative starting, which is Ipswich. Ipswich obviously 1-1. If you look at their XG and some of the stats like that, comfortably. Also, Cisco missed an open goal, for example. Sunderland's goal was a wonder free kick, so that doesn't happen. And the narrative is, well, they're just going to do what Sunderland did. They've gone out, they've spent a lot of money. Go through the players. Where's the Granit Xhaka? Like, I'm not seeing like that really like transformative player. Basically, I think they're coming up with time to have a proper go. I think under McKenna they came 18th, didn't they? But like, just they didn't buy anyone.
No, they went with the romantic choices of the players that have got them back-to-back promotions. And I think this, something my Ipswich friends have told me is that they haven't fallen in love with this team, but they know what this team needs to do, and that is survive. Yeah. And I think that's the difference. You've got players, and one of their players who've been with them since League One, got them up to the Premier League. They've just sold into Leicester, right? Massive player for them, 155 appearances, but Leicester in League One, that's his level, League One to Championship. And I think they stuck with players like that for a bit too long. This time, it looks different.
It does, but fundamentally, they're playing Sunderland, and Sunderland were not good. In the same, I mean, both Ipswich and Hull, you're both very happy, but both will have Cerner tests. Ironically, what they're playing each other. Sorry, I had to make one joke about Hull fans having Cerner test away. It was just too tempting. I got a lot of criticism for saying 8th. That's meant to be very childish because people said that's a stupid opinion, and you're right. I missed out the 10th, but no, I'm not gonna sink to that level. Oh, I unfortunately have. Anyway, look, Sunderland. I'm sorry. I'm obviously Sunderland, one of my teams that I love, but they were just always going to struggle this season. I can't remember who it was who said, if only there was another example of a team that massively outperformed and got into Europe, what did they do next season? Like, I'm sorry. So Ipswich, don't fall for it. A lot of people have gone for that Emerson guy because I think I didn't actually look him up, but I imagine he's quite cheap. But to be candid, I think a lot of people be like, oh, they've got Man U next. Like, I honestly think that narrative is being said around some parts. Yeah. It's just go too fair. He is a nice little player, and he's 5.5 million. To the person in our league who triple captained him, my God, I salute you. But no, they just suddenly were bad. Ballard, by the way, was bad. Cisco went round him far too easily. I don't like being right about this, Barry. But Barry, what you love Ipswich? You've got all your Ipswich friends. What's the positive case for Ipswich?
Oh, friends. So yeah, I think it is just that narrative that kind of advice that I've been given by these guys. Shout out Rory. He's kind of told me that they've just kind of been a bit more pragmatic with how they're setting up a little bit. And I think, not just in Cisco. I mean, Cisco's a great little player. Like, we all remember that goal he scored against Man City when he was at Brighton. Absolute screamer. What a goal that was. He hasn't really lost it in that respect. But they've also got quality all over the pitch. This Emerson guy they brought from Toulon for 20-odd million, 25 million. He's 21 years old, very raw, very young, but he's obviously got a tap in this game, but he was making the right runs. He could have scored again as well. So I think he's looking good. I don't know. I think Ipswich is a bit of a wait and see. I've got Leif Davis. I'm not going to be moving off him. I think a lot of people have Diop. They won't be moving off him either. Man United away. I mean, they've got nothing to lose. They might as well go for it. And Man United really don't like it when teams go for them, particularly at home, because their crowd will get up on their arse and be like, "Why aren't you killing Ipswich 4-0 after 2 seconds of the game?" And you can see that be a bit of a house of cards. And then we're talking about Man United losing or not getting results and 2 new promoted clubs, which is hilarious. But also we're talking about Ipswich putting in a decent performance. And when you think about their manager, who is a very Brexit 4-4-2 type manager, he's going to go there and set up for the 1-0 break within Cisco chips the keeper. Like you can see that happening. So I'm pleasantly surprised by Ipswich. Hull City, just briefly on them, I think, pleasantly surprised by them. But I think that game was always going to be really tricky for Man United. I think people were assuming it was going to be easy. I actually said it to a friend at the weekend. That's going to be the most interesting game of the weekend by a mile before ball was kicked. Because it's just, So that's my view on Ipswich. I think they got a good, decent team, much better team than they had when they came up last time. So they're definitely not going to be the minnows or the 3 points that we all expect them to be, which is great. And it's great for the league.
Okay, fair enough. I want to agree with you, but I think football will sort of correct itself. But hey, if Man U lose their first 2 games to Hull and Ipswich, that's literally relegation form. That literally is like, if Coventry did that, what would we all be saying? But I don't think it will happen, to be fair. But let's see.
Yeah, let's not piss off too many Man United fans as we go. I'm sure we did a good go of it last week, but I'll clip that up anyway. Nonetheless. Cool. Well, let's move on to the final yellow flagging that we're doing, and that is we need another week. Is the category of this is, we saw something in this match or in a match, and we just kind of don't know the answers to that yet. So it's worth kind of keeping an eye on, but can't make any conclusions yet. And that is Johan Wissa. Now, you were quite bullish with him. In fact, I seem to remember you sending a message saying, Wissa, masterclass incoming. Now, he did get man of the match in this game, and all of the stats seem to be really good with him. But he wasn't even on the bonus page on FPL.
Which I don't understand.
Lewis Miley got more bonus. Oh, I guess it's the yellow card, right? And the fact the assist was a really low XA assist, and he probably didn't make that many passes. And he had 2 one-on-one chances he should have converted. But he's having these chances. He got the assist. He looked really lively. He played alongside Asula, which I think is interesting, which means that the only player really falling out of that situation is World Tomade. Yeah. And can he really be blamed for that? I mean, Wissa just looks a lot more at it. Obviously, Gonzalo scored in this game. Up until this point, Wissa was joint top scorer for 6.0 forwards. And of course, he's got a relatively difficult game away to Tottenham. But I think it's a wait and see with Wissa. What do you think? You're obviously a big fan. You've got him in your team.
He's currently first on my bench. I can't decide between him and Phil Foden for the next game. Phil Foden was really, really, really disappointing. He was really disappointing. Look, that ball he put through, I can't remember if it was Sasula or somebody, but it was like world class. Like, he started as a 10, which is a bit annoying, but actually, a bit like Mbembo actually, it didn't actually matter too much being a 10. He sort of got in there a lot more when he went as a number 9. It also helped. Also, Sasula seemed to go up with a knock, so that would be more encouraging for Wissa starting up top against Spurs. Against this Spurs team who are going to concede a lot of shots at the very least. So I think I'm persuading myself to do that based on Wissa versus Foden's performance. I've also got Isak and Wirtz. A lot of disappointment there, basically, to be had, I think. I think whoever I won't start will be the one that hauls, so I'll let you know in advance of that. But no, look, I think if we're talking about getting Palmer in and players like that and sort of stacking your team with Arsenal defenders, you are going to need cheap players, and Wissa is one of them. Yeah. I'm absolutely convinced the 6 million that bangs is going to be the real turning point. Wissa is 2% owned, and if he's got it all in him. And Newcastle Spurs fixtures are still pretty good, so I think fill your boots with Mr. Johan Wissa.
Yeah, and he's got some decent fixtures. He's got Tottenham away, Bournemouth at home, Leeds away, Hull, Coventry, Aston Villa, Palace, Everton, Fulham. He's actually got really good fixtures right up until the middle of November, to be honest. So I think it would be a nice position to put in. I mean, I've got DCL at 6.0. He's got Brentford at home next, so I'm obviously not moving that on. But if DCL suddenly picked up an injury or was looking really off it, was not getting any of the numbers, I think that switch to Wissa makes perfect sense, right? And, he's not that highly owned. He's 2.2% owned, which is, crazy considering that DCL is at 30. So we are still looking for that 6.0. Maybe it won't be a 6.0. Maybe it will be a certain Ollie McBurney. You never know. But we will see. But yes, I think just wait a bit of time, I think, for Wissa. He did have that near post run and 1-on-1 that he should have scored. I mean, if he scores that, he's looking at a mega haul. Yeah. 2 goals and an assist. Absolutely. It'd be in everyone's team. So I'm quite glad he didn't do that, because then it means that us in the know. But now you, obviously, dear listener and viewer, because you subscribe to the best FPL podcast in the world, now know to go buy Johan Wissa, and hopefully we can move that percentage points up a few points.
Yeah.
Cool. So that concludes our yellow flags that we've recognised from the week. I hope that's kind of been helpful to you. And we're going to do a new section, which is a revamped version of the Banker Middling Road we did last season. And it's going to be who we should own, who we should punt on, and who we should put in the watch list. Stephen, who do you think is the person to own this week and longer term? So the ownership's not just you're owning it this week, it's someone that you think's worth investing from now.
You must own Morgan Rogers, or at least one of Morgan Rogers and Palmer, but Rogers is a little bit cheaper. He's on my bench, which has cost me, him and João Pedro have cost me, just during this podcast, Barry, I'm down to 1.3 million. So what's that drop? 600,000, 700,000.
You've doubled your position, I think, there.
Yeah, not ideal. He had 3 shots, just looking at his stats now, 3 shots, actually 0.64. Of course, his X on target was 0.2, so another worldie done. But Morgan Rogers, only because he's a little bit... I mean, actually, if you can afford Palmer, it's got to be Cole Palmer. He didn't go... I mean, we all said this. He didn't go to the World Cup. If you've got Bruno Fernandes, do the switch as soon as... I mean, okay, wait for Ipswich, but then do the switch after that. Wiss is actually on my watch list only because I'm not 100% sure start as a number 9. My punt, though, I think is more interesting. And we haven't talked about this game, nor neither of these teams. I guess people think there's nothing to talk about them. But I think there is. And no, it's not Everton and Crystal Palace. It is.
There was nothing to talk about in that game.
Yes, there is. I don't know. The missing open goal. Anyway, it's Ellis Sims. Coventry. So
interesting.
I was impressed. Coventry went there and they wanted to win. Well, sorry, they wanted to score early. Arsenal's quality just told eventually. But they pressed hard. They tried. They played out from the back. They were like, we're going to play this way. Now, look, in a way, it was sort of easy for them to do that because the league is watching, but also they knew it was a free swing. But at the same time, they had to go out and show, like, we're not going to just be pushed around, basically. We're going to play in the same way. And Ellis was the one who started. There's been a bit of debate who would start for them. Iowani came on, for example. But let's assume that Ellis Sims is going to be the one to start. They obviously have the mighty Tigers next in a game that they really, really, really have to win already.
Yeah.
And I think they're going to do something there. I think Coventry were pretty good. Arsenal maybe went into second gear a little bit, but nevertheless, I think Coventry held their head high. They do have a bad run after Hull. They have Man City. They have Brighton. Then they have Nottingham Forest, Newcastle, Tottenham. It could be worse, actually. Ellis Sims, if he plays in those games, he's quick. He's a really, really good player. I think he's 0.9% owned. He's 0.9% owned. He's 5.5 million. I think he's even 5 million up top. No, I think he's 5.5.
No, it's 5.5.
He's 5.5. So yeah, he'd be my punt.
Yeah, I like him. I did in my first draft when I was signing on to FPL. I did put him in my draft, but I wasn't too sure about whether he was going to start, what his mins were going to be like, But he had an impressive squaring record in the Championship. He was also relatively decent when he was at Everton when he was coming through. So,
of course, yeah.
I quite like that. Well, my own and sort of set and forget, I suppose, is Gahey.
There we go.
I think whether he's playing in the midfield in a more attacking role or playing as a centre back, he's got a lot of routes to points, and I just think that he's a decent player to own at 6 million. And, look, if we are freeing up some cash by selling Bruno Fernandes, not saying I'm going to do that, I'm not saying the others are going to do that, but we might be burning a few chips here and there and burning a few wild cards here and there, and you're reorganising your team. I think it's worth looking at the Arsenal defence, one of those, so Calafiore or whatever, and then Aguehi, because I do think that they're going to be decent this season, and he will have the chances. And like I said, he could have scored 2 goals in this game quite easily. I just think he's a nice player to own throughout. Then my punt. He's also playing in the Coventry and Hull City game, and it is Ollie McBurney, the Scottish maestro.
I'm surprised he's not your banker, mate. Honestly, your obsession with Ollie McBurney is unbelievable.
I love him. I just think he is such an old school striker, such a nod to what a number 9 could and should be. But he was also very skillful. There was a moment in the game against United where he sort of picks up the ball on the edge, and all the Man United players stop because they think it's gone off, and he manages to sort of weave his way through a couple of them, and you could just tell he was feeding off the energy of the crowd. I do think that Hull will suffer going to Coventry because away from home, they're going to both be needing the win. Coventry probably more so, given the fact the games that sort of wrapped them. But Hull got 2 draws there last season, and if anyone's going to do it, it's going to be him. I also really like Slater. He got an assist. He was close to DEFCONs. He was playing really confidently forward. He's 4.5 million a midfielder. Like, I think we're sleeping on him a little bit. But anyway, McBurney is my punt if you're going down that route. And then my watch list, just finally, and we've mentioned already, as in Cisco. I just think that if he puts off another performance like that against United at Old Trafford, my goodness me. I mean, he should be in everyone's team. Like, he's just the way he sat down Xhaka is just beautiful. I know Xhaka's obviously, getting on a bit and all the rest of it, but still, to do that, and then, of course, throughout the game, boss the game, could have easily hauled in this game. Yeah, I think he's just a wonderful, wonderful player.
Okay, fair enough. Do you know what, Ollie McBurney? I like the fact that he's a Scottish Englishman who played 1 season in the Canary Islands. I've got to give him, absolute credit for that.
Yeah.
But nothing more. Yeah. In Cisco, he is tempting though, isn't he? He is tempting in Cisco.
He's very tempting. He's just a beautiful player to watch, and I think my Ipswich friends are going to be very happy to see him every game. So, yeah, who would have thought it? After game week 1, we're recommending 3 players, in fact, from the promoted sides.
Football is healing, Barry. Football is healing.
Football is healing. Football is back, and so is the Premier League. And of course, Chelsea-Fulham has finished now 3-2. Cole Palmer walking around with 13 points. João Pedro with 11, and Rodgers with 8. But I don't think the bonuses have been put in yet. So yes,
I believe a new feature this season. They auto-update the bonuses now, so you don't have to wait.
Smashing.
Yes.
Wonderful. Thank you, Stephen, correspondent. But no, that's great. That's great to see, and a good win for Chelsea. So that is it for us this week. Remember, play it your way. I'm going to be bench boosting game week 2. Stephen, are you tempted with a bench boost?
I was, but then Palestra gets injured, so probably not. No, and then also Kingsky, and I have concerns. No, I'm not, basically. I was going to, but I have to work out when I'm going to do it now, but I'll worry about that. It's another day.
Awesome. I don't think I'll be making a transfer. I think I'm going to be sticking where I am, to be honest, unless, of course, some crazy injury news happening, but I will be bench boosting. So, yeah, that's it for us this week. We hope the yellow flags have been helpful, and we will see you next week.
Thank you.